Hello, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Darren, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to vlog. Vlogging is something that a lot of people do, but a lot of people do incorrectly. So I'm hoping that today there's some tips that I can give you that can help improve your vlogs and make them more interesting for people to watch. That being said, there is something that we do need to get out of the way, and that's gear. The first thing we're going to talk about is the camera. This is the Blackmagic 6K full frame, and I would not recommend you vlog with this camera. This is just a placeholder. I started off on the Fujifilm system, and I would honestly recommend doing Canon or Sony for their good autofocus, but ideally and realistically, all cameras have pretty good autofocus nowadays, so you really can't go wrong. Once you have your camera, you got to start thinking about lenses. These are vintage prime lenses, which I would not recommend because manual focus is way more headache than it's worth. So I would recommend getting something between the 16 to 35 millimeter or the 24 to 70 millimeter for your first lens. A zoom lens will offer a big range and get your bases covered. One thing that often gets forgotten about is the variable ND filter. This is crucial if you plan on filming outside, which most of the time when you're vlogging, you will be. I would recommend buying a bigger thread-sized variable ND filter, like an 82 millimeter or a 77 millimeter, and then buying a step-down ring to fit onto whatever lens you have. This will allow you to get step-down rings for all of your lenses, so you can just have one variable ND filter instead of having to buy multiple sizes for multiple lenses you have. Next up, let's talk about audio. Arguably the most important part to any film that you plan on making. And there are many different ways you can go about recording audio. You can use a shotgun microphone, you can use an external recorder, you can use a boom mic. And honestly, while all of those are viable options, the only one I truly would recommend for vlogging is by using a shotgun microphone. And the one that's on the screen right now is a Deity microphone that has the ability to record what's in front of it and behind it due to a little button. I'll leave a link to it down below. Alternatively, you could also use one of these. This is the Lark M2, and it's a wireless lavalier microphone. And what's cool about this is it comes with two wireless mics and a transmitter that can connect to your camera. You can also buy the phone version for this, so it can connect to your phone and you can use the mics that way. However, I just bought the camera version because that's what I knew I'd be using it for. What's cool about this is that the case itself is also a charging thing, so you can put your mics and the transmitter in there and receive up to, I think, 4 charges. This is really cool because it allows you to get really unique shots but still get good audio, so I would highly recommend this or anything else like this. Once you have your camera, you gotta have it stand on something, so here's a Joby Gorilla Pod. This is something that a lot of vloggers traditionally use, like Casey Neistat, but nowadays you can kind of upgrade that to a travel tripod and get a lot more versatility out of it. This is the newer tripod, and I would not recommend this for multiple reasons. I'll leave a link to one that I do like down below, but all in all, I would recommend a travel tripod because it'll give you more options and more versatility in any shot you might try to get. And then a little bonus mount, this is a magic arm. Magic arms are great if you're trying to get in a unique angle, like you're trying to put it onto a pole, or you want to hang it onto a door. This will allow you to do that. This little clamp right here can pretty much attach to most things, given it's not super big. But this is awesome because it'll give you a chance to put your camera in places that you never really thought you could. Maybe the least sexy thing on here, but batteries. You never want to be caught out filming or vlogging and then all of a sudden your battery dies and you don't have any backups. So I would recommend buying 3 or 4 more just to be safe. Last but certainly not least is lighting. Now, depending on what you're doing, you may not need lighting, and depending on your camera, it may not even be a worry for you. But if you do want some lighting, this is a little Lume Cube, and they sell many versions of this on Amazon, so you can buy them at different price points. And recently I picked up an inflatable tube light, which I really like. I'll leave a link to both of those down below. Another thing I would also say is don't go buy all this stuff all at once, because that's going to be a huge price tag and it's just a big burden on your wallet for something you might not even continue to do. So what I would recommend is getting a good camera with good autofocus, a good audio system, and a good tripod. With those 3 things, you can start vlogging anywhere at any time. So with the gear out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about vlogging and how you can make your vlog look like a film. So I'm saying this first because I think it's the most important, but story is everything. You can take your viewers with you wherever you want, but if there's not a story there, what's the point? I used to do vlogging back in the day, and all I would do is just carry my camera around and just kind of show my everyday events. And it wasn't anything spectacular. And when I watched those back, I realized that one of the things that's missing here and is evident throughout all of it is just that there's no story to be told. I'm just expecting people to watch my life and expect them to think it's really cool, and that's just not the case. So when you go to vlog, make sure that you have a story in mind, that each day has a purpose, and that you have a way to show that purpose to the viewer. Because if you do that, odds are they're going to continue to watch, and they're going to keep watching because they're going to fall in love with who you are and what you do with your life. So yeah, story is everything. I apologize for any background noise you might hear. There's a pretty busy road behind me. But I wanted to sit down and kind of talk about this point, and that is music. Music is an extremely important part of your vlog or any video that you decide to make. It can make the viewer feel sad, it can make the viewer feel happy, it can make them feel what you need them to feel in that specific moment in your video. Take this video, for example. This whole thing is modeled after a movie called A Real Pain. It has Jesse Eisenberg and Kevin McCulkin. And the whole movie is just beautiful. It reminded me of a vlog which kind of inspired this video, and it heavily inspired everything that, this whole video is about. So when you go to make a vlog, make sure that you have intention behind the music that you're choosing as well, because not only will you feel the difference, your viewer will too. So don't just choose any music. Make sure it has a purpose, make sure it conveys a message, and helps tell the story. Something else you can also do to elevate your vlogs is to add B-roll. Now, whether or not you want to do that or not is completely up to you. But if you do add B-roll, there are a few things to keep in mind that'll instantly elevate the stuff that you film. So, for example, a frame within a frame. That's a technique that's used in Hollywood all the time, and right now I'm using it. So you can see right here I have a concrete pillar and a tree, which is creating a frame within the frame, which is the video that you're watching. There's another thing too that I'm also utilizing. You can also see that there's a bush that's blurry. That's putting stuff in the foreground. That creates a depth within the image to give the viewer a more interesting thing to look at. There's a ton of things that you can do to make your B-roll look much more professional and just overall a more interesting image to look at. One of the things that I highly recommend and I would tell everyone from day one is to stop watching YouTube to get inspiration. Start watching movies. If this is something that you want to take seriously, look at what movies you're doing. Look at how they compose an image. Look at how they decide to do slow motion. Look at the way that they color grade things. Movies are a fantastic way to get inspiration that is not YouTube. I love YouTube. I'm on this thing literally all day. I get so much inspiration from the way people get ideas, from the way people get creative. But when it comes to actually composing images and making things look more professional, I look towards movies because they've been doing it for over 100 years. So yeah, keep that in mind. Interesting shots. All right, and this is the last point I'm going to make, but this one is going to be about planning. And I know that planning sometimes gets a bad rep. It can really turn people off because of the fact that you have to do pre-production before you get there. But I promise you, it really, really helps. Planning beforehand can help take a really bad video and make it into a really good video, just by little things that you can do. For example, this whole video was made based off of Google Maps. All I did was look up places that I thought would be an interesting place to film at, look at the pictures there from Google Maps, and then decide where I wanted to shoot, how I wanted to shoot it, what time of day would be the best to shoot it. Just knowing that much beforehand helped me immensely to get the shots that I was looking for. And the way that I do most of my planning is through an app called Milanote. There's a free version of it, and then there's also a paid version of it. I would highly suggest you go check it out. This isn't sponsored in any way. It's just something that I use personally. And what I did is I created a board and I planned out each and every day and listed all of the locations that I thought that we could go to and what shots I think I wanted to get there. And the last thing I kind of want to say on this is that planning doesn't take away from anything that you're doing. If anything, it just helps relay the story even better and helps the viewer understand your point much more clearer. And that about wraps it up. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I'd be more than happy to answer anything that you guys have. I will say that if you do implement these 4 tips into your vlogging lifestyle, into whatever you're trying to create, you're gonna have a much better product by the end of it, just because you've taken the time to plan it, select the right music for it, you've thought about all the interesting shots that you wanna be taking, and you have a good story to tell. And yeah, with that, I'll see you guys soon. So bye.